Okay, and welcome to Forensics for STEM for Girls. The first thing we are going to do is take a print of our fingers. So you see here that I am drawing my pencil. I'm using my pencil to make the lead go onto the paper so I can rub my finger over it instead of using ink pads. This is the easier and less expensive way. So you see I'm rubbing it, and you can decide before or after to give a brief history on fingerprints, but you don't have to. And then you're going to get a piece of tape, put it over your finger, make sure that your other fingerprint is not on that new one. We don't want to mix our fingerprints. And then take that fingerprint off and tape it onto a piece of paper. You're going to see in the next one that I choose to do a new piece of paper. I use the old one here, but make sure all of it is marked up. And you'll see right about now that I created a whole set of fingerprints, my left and right hand. Okay, next we're going to classify fingerprints. Now there are 3 or 4 different types of basic fingerprints that we have, and mine here are a whirl direction, but there's also arc and loop. And make sure the kids that when they're doing this that they put their name and the date so they know that it's theirs and their own fingerprints. So it's pretty cool. Next thing we're going to do is dust a glass and get our fingerprints lifted off of that. So I have a few materials here, and the first thing we're going to do is get a glass, and we're going to put our fingerprint on there. Just make sure that their hands are oily. If not, just rub it on their forehead, and then they can put their finger right on the glass. And then once that's done, put some gloves on, because we don't want to put our new fingerprints with our old fingerprints. Oh, also, make sure the glass is clean before you put new fingerprints on there. And then we're going to get our cocoa powder, and we're going to dip our paintbrush in there, and we're going to go over our fingerprint and do it lightly. We don't want to mess around with it. It's basically gonna the cocoa powder and the oil is gonna come together, and then we're gonna get a piece of tape and put it over our print. So you can see it there, and put it right there. The one mistake that I did do that I noticed was I pressed down on the fingerprint, and that made it all scrunched up together, which was a big mistake, and it was just a blob. So I had to redo it. But I have another method that I came up with. So yeah, once you lift your fingerprint to put it on a new paper, and make sure not to squish it. There I go again, squishing it, but don't do that. That's a big problem that I did. So the other method that I figured out was pretty cool, that I got a little bit of cocoa powder and I sprinkled it onto the fingerprint, and then I dabbed off, I dropped some of it onto the table, and then I blew some of it off, and then I got a new piece of tape and I put it over it, but again I squished it, and it came out a little bit better, but not as good because I still squished it. And then you place it on your paper, and from this point the kids can label it. Okay, so now we're going to talk about teeth impressions. This one is fairly easy. You just need one paper plate, styrofoam plate, and here I cut it in half, but you can cut it in more pieces to get more detailed teeth impressions because I did this just for time's sake, but just make sure that they're labeling each piece and to know that it's theirs and which side that they do the impression on. And yeah, just make sure that they're labeling each and every single part, because if they don't, then they're just going to be stuck with somebody else's, and we don't want that, especially if that somebody else put that in their mouth. And then they just put it in their mouth, bite down, and then they will have their teeth impression. And they can put it in there longer, or use their finger to push up or down depending on which side the styrofoam is on. So yeah, they all have teeth impressions. Okay, next we're going to do some powder analysis. Now this one is a little bit longer, but it's worth it. The kids love it. So you get one piece of black paper and divide it into 4 pieces. Then you're going to get a quarter of a teaspoon and put each of cornstarch, sugar, baking soda, and salt, and put it on there. Because they're all white, it's pretty interesting how the students are going to see how each thing reacts to certain elements around them. For example, we're using water, vinegar, and iodine solution, and the kids are going to smell it. There's a chart there as well where they're going to feel it, touch it, the texture, how the smell, things like that, and then put it on there. And then soon we'll add some water and see how each thing reacts to water. Here I just put one, but they can put that there and see how it reacts with the water. And how does it look? Did it even react at all? They can even wait a minute and see how the reaction looks as well. And then I got the vinegar next. And of course, a few of us know what the vinegar does to the baking soda, but it's still a pretty cool thing for the kids just to see that right in front of their eyes, and they get to experiment on each of those things. And make sure that they're writing it down. Now, these 4 jars are for you, the teacher, only because it is iodine solution. It's a little bit pricey. I got mine at Walmart, and also we don't want the kids to mess with this. And we see here that the kids can come and smell it, but their teacher will just have one set, and they'll come and take a look and do their analysis that way. And we can see here that the cornstarch has one of the most significant reactions. It has a few dots, focusing right there, has a few dots, and it gets hard. And then we have the salt here. Salt is more together, and you'll compare it to, see here. This is the baking soda. Not much happened there, just it's like water. And then we see the sugar, and the sugar didn't, it was kind of like the salt, but it didn't hold as much. And here is up close, using a magnifying glass for the kids to get there, right in there, and do their analysis. Next, we're going to do finding the height. And first, I found the height just so the kids can have an idea. And then after, we're going to actually find the height by their foot size. So we measure the foot, and here I didn't go against the wall, but that's okay. And so we have the height of the person just so to check our work, but we have the length of the foot as well. And it's 9 inches, and I converted it to 0.75 foot. And then we use the formula 15 over 100 equals the length of the foot over x, which would be the height. and then we would cross multiply. And when we cross multiply, we do 100 times 0.75, which would equal 7.75. And then we're going to divide it by 15. And when we divide it by 15, we figure out what the height is. And we're going to see here whether the height is the same exact thing as our initial height. And in this case, the initial height was 62 inches, roughly around 5 feet. And it is the exact same height, 5 feet, 5 feet. And there we go. And that is forensics for STEM for Girls. And it was just really awesome to see different things in probably one field. At the end of the week, they will have a big project in the classroom trying to figure out a crime, and the kids really love it. They figure out all the things that they learned during the week and put it all together. And thank you.